The drama surrounding Pantera of Mexico and Kameda of Japan was never just about punches. It was about pride, legacy, humiliation, and the dangerous line between confidence and disrespect. When Yonosuke Kameda stepped onto Mexican soil wearing a smirk that many interpreted as mockery, he wasn't just entering a boxing ring, he was stepping into hostile territory, into a nation that breathes boxing and defends its warriors with unshakable passion. Kameda carried a famous surname. The Kameda name in Japan echoes with history, tied to the accomplishments of Koki, Daiki, and Tomoki Kameda, fighters who carved out respect on the global stage. Yonosuke saw himself as the rightful heir to that fighting bloodline. He embraced the nickname Camicase, presenting himself as fearless, reckless, willing to go to any extreme for glory. But while his brothers built reputations on skill and resilience, Yonosuke leaned heavily into provocation. His persona was as sharp as his gloves, and when he arrived in Mexico, he made it clear he wasn't there to play the respectful visitor. Standing across from him was Luis Pantera Nery, a man fighting not only an opponent but the shadows of his recent past. Nery had suffered a devastating defeat against Naoya Inoue, a loss that shook his aura and forced critics to question whether he still belonged among the elite. For a proud fighter competing in front of his home crowd in Tijuana, this bout was more than a comeback. It was redemption, it was restoration, and when Kameda's taunts began to surface, something ignited inside the Mexican warrior. From the opening bell, the tension was electric. The arena pulsed with anticipation, the Mexican crowd roaring every time Nery advanced. The first exchanges were cautious, both men studying each other's timing and range. But the caution didn't last long. Nery, fueled by the chants of his people, pressed forward with intensity. His punches thudded against Kameda's guard, then began to sneak through. The power difference became apparent early. Each clean shot from Nery seemed to jolt the Japanese challenger's frame. Yet Kameda refused to back down. He absorbed punishment and answered back with his own combinations. There were moments when the two stood toe-to-toe, trading heavy artillery at close range. The ropes became Kameda's refuge, but they also became a trap. Nery specialized in inside warfare, digging vicious shots to the body and snapping hooks upstairs. The exchanges were brutal, neither man willing to surrender ground. At one point, Nery briefly touched the canvas in what appeared to be a slip, sending a ripple of anxiety through the crowd. But the referee waved it off, and the chants grew louder. Nery, Nery, Nery echoed through the arena like a battle cry. The energy fed the his pace intensified. He began to resemble a machine, firing combinations in relentless bursts. Kameda's mocking gestures only added fuel to the fire. Every smirk, every theatrical movement seemed to challenge Nery further. But bravado inside a boxing ring has a shelf life, and Kameda was discovering that his resilience would be tested beyond anything he had experienced before. The Mexican's left hand began to find its mark repeatedly. Body shots landed with sickening thuds. Hooks snapped Kameda's head sideways. Still, he endured. There was something undeniably admirable about Kameda's toughness. Even as his face showed visible damage, even as the punishment accumulated, he stood his ground. He fired back with sharp counters, landing occasional clean shots that reminded everyone he was still dangerous. But the momentum belonged to Nery. The Mexican fighter had found rhythm, and with each passing round, his confidence grew. The arena transformed into a war zone. Spectators stood on their feet, sensing the inevitable crescendo building. The air felt heavy, thick with anticipation. Nery unleashed flurries that forced Kameda into survival mode. The Japanese fighter's legs began to betray him subtly. His reactions slowed. His guard dropped fractions of a second too late, and Nery, smelling blood, pressed harder. There were warnings of head clashes, moments of chaotic entanglement, but the narrative remained the same. Nery advancing, Kameda absorbing. The Camicase spirit was visible in Kameda's refusal to quit. He embodied that nickname, willing to march through fire. But boxing is unforgiving. Courage without control can turn into self-destruction. As the later rounds unfolded, the brutality intensified. Nery's punches carried both power and purpose. A crushing shot staggered Kameda, sending a visible tremor through his stance. The crowd erupted, sensing the end approaching. Kameda fell but rose again, driven by pride or perhaps sheer instinct. Yet his body language told a different story. His legs wavered, his reactions dulled. Every second inside the ring had become a battle for survival rather than victory. Nery did not hesitate. He unleashed a final barrage, punches detonating against Kameda's battered frame. The referee watched closely, weighing courage against safety. When another crushing blow snapped Kameda's head back and left him defenseless, the official stepped in. The fight was over. Technical knockout. Redemption secured. The arena exploded with celebration. Nery had returned through the front door, victorious in his homeland. The humiliation that once clouded his career was replaced by triumph. For Kameda, the night ended in painful reality. The smirk was gone. The provocations silenced. What was meant to be an intimidating invasion had turned into a harsh lesson. This clash was more than a fight. It was a collision of pride, legacy, and emotion. It showed the fine line between confidence and arrogance, between resilience and recklessness. Kameda's toughness earned respect, but his approach ignited a fire he could not extinguish. Nery, fueled by national pride and personal redemption, delivered a performance that reminded the world why he remains one of Mexico's most dangerous fighters. Moments like these define boxing. They remind us that beyond the technique and the strategy lies something deeper: heart, identity, the roar of a hometown crowd, the hunger to erase doubt, the cost of disrespect. What did you think of this explosive showdown? Was Kameda's attitude the spark that sealed his fate, or was Nery destined to make a statement regardless? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy dramatic breakdowns of boxing's most intense battles, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. More unforgettable clashes, more high-stakes drama, and more legendary moments are coming your way.